Hey, soul sister, welcome back. Today's episode is a little different, a special and powerful conversation that we're honored to share with you. As you know, our focus here is on offering meaningful tools, guidance, and inspiration for healing and personal growth. And sometimes that means making space for the stories that remind us what's truly possible on the other side of pain. Before we dive in, I want to offer a gentle trigger warning. This episode includes sensitive topics related to child sex trafficking, abuse, and trauma. So please take care of yourself as you listen. In this episode, we sit down with Mary Frances Mao, a survivor, mother, author, and advocate whose journey from trauma to triumph is nothing short of remarkable. Mary shares how she transformed a life marked by pain, exploitation, and survival into one rooted in purpose, healing, and faith. She opens up about the moments that shaped her, the power of forgiveness, and how motherhood became a turning point in her path to reclaiming her identity. She also reveals how writing her book, Tricked, helped her process years of trauma, and how therapy, community support, and a strong connection to faith became anchors in her recovery. This is more than a story of survival. It's a masterclass in resilience and a testament to the strength that we all carry within us. If you've ever struggled with your self-worth, questioned your path, or needed a reminder that healing is possible, this conversation is for you. Let's dive in. Mary, can you take us back to the moment you
Yeah,
realized you wanted to tell your story and not just survive, but heal and help others heal too?
absolutely. Absolutely. I was 49 years old. I was still out there in the streets. I was going through depression and I had nobody to turn to. I tried to turn to the police. They're not going to really help you. Can't talk to other girls because try to abuse you or take advantage of you, try to bring your home to their guy. I couldn't customers. You're not going to get personal with customers. I was lost out there. I literally was dying, and I wasn't dying from drugs or being beat down by a pimp or bad customers or fights in the streets or all that stuff. I was dying from a broken heart. I was dying because here I knew I still had a good heart, but I've always wanted to serve people. I was just serving the wrong kind of people. I was losing it, honestly. And so I started writing stuff down, but it was too many triggers and I wasn't ready. So I wrote for about a few months, and then writing really even made it worse for me because I had nobody to turn to. So what I wound up doing was I was in my house for 2 years. Shade shutters down. I shuttered down my windows, and my house was literally dark and black for 2 years. All I would do was I would go outside out there in them streets to make a little money to eat, feed my pets and me. I didn't care. It didn't matter anymore. I literally had the same clothes I wore for a year, very clean, but I didn't want to dress anymore. I had a brand new Jag. I had a condo. Who has 6 Rolexes? I had all this crazy stuff, but I was dying inside and I had nobody to turn to. And so they had these they call them the red light angels. They would come out to the streets and try to talk to the girls and maybe pray over them, or bring them some little snacks or some condoms, honestly, and some personal things. And they would try to pray over you. Well, I speak Japanese fluently. And so there was this little old lady. She was about, I guess she was around 60 something at the time. I was 49. And she kept trying to talk to me. She knew I spoke Japanese. And so every time I'd see her coming, I'd run. I didn't want to, I didn't want to disrespect her or be rude, but I wasn't trying to hear what she was trying to tell me. And so within a year, I lost my nana. She was more like my mom than Elsie. So I losing right before I lost my nana. She says, "Hey, I need to see you in heaven. You need to get your life together." And she passed a few weeks later. So from that moment, I didn't know how I was going to do it because all I knew, I was in the streets since I was 14 till 53, actually. But at that time, to 49. And all I knew was the streets. And I I took a chance. A little Japanese lady came back out there. I'm like, okay, I'll go to church with you. But once I knew went to church, I knew it was going to change. I know my heart. So I went there, and I definitely very uncomfortable. And I stayed. I was going for a year, and there was something missing. And so being that I didn't know what it was. And finally, I had forgiven everybody, all the bad situations. I've been stabbed and beat on and put in Rikers Island at 14. So much more stuff. So many bad customers. I had forgiven everybody, honestly, from my heart. But I never forgave my mother for committing suicide. Once I forgave my mother, I was free. And I was going I was in front of the church and I was praying and hallelujah. I was free and I'm at peace, but I still had to work on this book. And I was seeing all kinds of trauma psychiatrists, all kind of, my church helped me, and I started writing everything down and I was able to hand it. I guess I was prepared. I was ready now. And as I was writing it, I was still out there. There was a security guard. He was actually a policeman, but he did part-time night, kind of extra money. He was a security guard for one of the hotels I kind of used to hustle out of. And he seen me writing. And I was out there just sitting on the bench, just writing. He said, "What are you doing?" He says, I'm like, "Oh, I'm writing a book." He said, "Hey, I have somebody that writes. He's an ex-sheriff. He was a sheriff for 30 years, and maybe he can help you." So I wound up meeting up with this guy, and I sat down in Denny's with him. So his wife writes as well. So I had his wife help me instead. Her name is Mary as well. She's on the book. She's my ghostwriter. So that's when I started. She would come to my house every like 2, 3 times a week. It was really kind of rough. And you got to remember, I was still in that life mentally, right? So I was really hard. I mean, my name is Maria. I wasn't married. I used to say Maria Rodriguez because had I said, "My name is Mary Frances," they would have kicked my ass because it sounds like a white girl and I would have been beat down, and that's just how it is. Okay. So that's what they have the accent, Maria Rodriguez, right? And so it saves me a lot of trauma. Okay, so she'd come to my house and it was crazy. So that's when I started. I started it right before my 50th birthday. And it's so funny because I was always a mom to everybody out there. I took care of people that were fighting and wind up cutting each other. I'd go run to the store and get band-aids and put them back together. We're talking dope dealers and hookers, and I used to always try to help. That's just that's me. So yeah, I was always a mom out there and I wanted to help. Hey, before we continue this, you guys, just know that I'm at peace now. And it's not, oh, poor Mary. Okay. I need you guys to really understand that. At the end of the
Yeah.
day, I have no fear of dying. If I pass tomorrow, I'm good. Just want to be able to help as many people as I can. And that's the God honest truth. I just need to clear that up. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and that's great. I think that's a great message for our listeners too, is that, yeah, you are not what happened to you.
Oh,
It's not about victimization.
so I had to learn how to. Yeah, they're mean because I had to learn how to hustle without having sex because I didn't want to do that anymore. I didn't want to hurt my body anymore. I was a child and my insides were ruined already at 15 years old. I couldn't have any children. So I wanted to learn how to hustle without having sex. My pimp wasn't going to tell me. All he cared about me is going out there and get that money, right? So I had to learn. So I figured out it was the Asian culture. I figured out the Japanese. They had a whole bunch of money. I had to figure it out, how they were and how their nails were and how clean. And I really studied people.
Mm.
And then I learned the language. And I was blessed.
Mm.
Listen, I was blessed with languages, never studied. But my stepfather, he was such a racist. I was the dark one of the family. I have dark curly hair naturally, and I look Iranian. And I get really dark. I look Pakistani or from India in the summertime. He used to make me go in the bathroom and scrub and scrub and scrub. And, this is my color, bro. That's it. So he was such a racist. So I learned Japanese. And because he was such a racist, I rebelled. And I wanted to learn other languages and humans and people and culture. Even as a kid, my neighbors were Hispanic. I was around them all the time. So I learned Spanish by them. I learned Japanese because it was a way to be safer and get money, and not hurt myself. So that's why I learned Japanese. So most 90% of my customers were Japanese.
That's when you're literally surviving on the streets, because I know people who've also pretty much spent a major part of their life on the streets. And it's a whole different lifestyle. It's a
Right.
whole fucking completely different ballpark altogether. And it's literally like dog eat dog, every man for himself. And when you have like pure innocent souls, like you're that way, right, Mary? Like you have such a big heart and stuff. And it's like when you come into a life where you grow up in those environments, number one, you learn how to adapt quick, right? And obviously that's something that you learned quite early on.
In New York City, 40.
Like that's insane. It's insane. You probably like your life could probably be made into a movie.
I'm read the book, and there's so, like I said, after you read the book, and even after this conversation, there's so much. Can I tell you
Yeah,
one
of course.
story in the book?
Yeah,
Is that
absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
okay?
what we're here for, girl.
absolutely.
I was 26 years old. My pimp was on drugs for like since sorry, I was 24 years old. So he had been on drugs for 9 years already, 10 years, something like 9 years. And I told him, if you don't stop taking drugs, I'm going to stop eating. So I was in the hospital. I was 90 pounds. I was having seizures. And all this is because he wouldn't eat. And I was trying to get him to stop taking drugs. Well, he had another girl that worked with me too, right? And I couldn't have children because I was ruined from having sex all the time as a child. So she whispers in my ear. She says, Maria, they called me Maria. Maria, I have something you could live for. I have a baby in my stomach and I want to give her to you. But you have to eat. Well, I started eating and eating and eating. And I wore a pillow for 9 months. Nobody knew. My family didn't know. And she literally went into the hospital under my name. She went under my name. She had the baby and she gave me this child. Now, remember, I was still in that life. And no matter what it was, boy or girl, my baby was going to be named Christian. So God was with me all the time. I just didn't know it. So that's one of the stories. She saved my life. My child, she literally went in a hospital under my name and gave me her baby.
This is
How's
this is
that?
your daughter, right?
Yes,
Wow.
she is my.
My goodness.
Yeah. And then there's more to
Okay.
it. Wait,
Who
there's
was the
more.
girl who gave you the baby?
She just passed away about a month ago. I went down to say goodbye to her, but she passed away. Yeah. And we didn't talk for like 20, 30
Wow.
years. Well, she wound up bribing me. So it continues. So she bribed me for 12 years. I had to send her money every week for 12 years. And then one day I'm
Oh
like,
my
I can't
God.
do this anymore. I just cannot. Well, she threatened me. Well, I'm going to tell Christian. So now I have to tell my child, yes, that's my child. I've had her from day one, that I'm not her mother. And Auntie Shirley is her mother. So before she went and told her. So I told her. So now she wants to go live with Auntie Shirley. She wants to see how her mom is, her biological mom. Well, she was there for about 7 or 8 months. She called me. She said, Mom, I'm so sorry. I love you. I know she's my biological mother. Can I please come home? So yeah, that's another story. But
Wow.
about 2 years ago, because I didn't talk to her for almost 20, 30 years, because she was still, when she passed, she was still on drugs. But I knew she was gonna. I'm surprised she lived this long. So I wanted to have some closure with her. So I went to. She's in Memphis. So I went to Memphis, Tennessee, and I didn't care what was coming at me. She could blame. I didn't. It didn't matter. But I needed to hold my friend before she passed. 'Cause I knew and that's what I did. So that was Christian's
Wow.
mom.
Yeah.
What a story.
Oh, so much. There's so much more. Like I would have went through all that over again to have my daughter.
Mm.
At the end of the day,
Mm.
I got a blessing and I got a beautiful gift from God. I got my daughter from all that nastiness and all that and all that sadness, and I got my beautiful daughter. And I would do it all over again, even more. I didn't care.
That's so beautiful.
It's the truth.
It's like in the darkness you saw the light and you learned from those, like you would do it over, like you said.
Oh,
Did you have faith when you were in this whole ordeal?
so he sends me to another area to work. They're in cabs in New York City, 3 cabs looking for me. They want to kill me, hurt me, whatever they're going to do to me. He gives me a gun. He says, put this under the newspaper stand. And if they come up on you, just shoot them. I'm like, okay. I was 14. I didn't know, 14, 15. And so I think they got word of it and so then he sent me back to the same area a couple days later and nobody ever bothered. Well, they didn't bother me again. So. And then remember, I used to have to say, my name it was Maria. So they thought I was a crazy Latina with a knife. And then you say, well, how do you know God? Oh, I'm sorry, we're going to God. So I'm in the middle of these streets, and my pimp's not helping because he can't help me get a customer. I've got to figure it out. And the girls that are with him, they're jealous of me because I'm making all this money, right? To them, I'm some little white girl in the middle of the town, and I'm like, they're all, you know what I mean? And I'm a child. They're pedophiles. And so the girls that are with my guy, they're mad because I'm making and he's yelling at them. How come you let this little, so he's pushing us against each other. So these girls, they would try to set me up with bad customers to get hurt. And then finally one day there was a situation where this guy tried to rob us, and I told the girls, like, hey, there he is over there. And I was in a subway, and the subway was closed. The gate was closed, but there was a stairwell. Well, the girls that were supposed to have my back that were with the same man, they come down there acting like they're going to help me, and they stabbed me. They went to stab me in my chest, he stabbed me. She tried to get me in the heart, and it missed, and it got my main artery. So I'm in the middle of the street. I have a white trench coat on. Blood's everywhere. Nobody's helped me. Dad left me there in the subway to die. God was with me because I was passed out. God woke me up. I walked out of that subway stairwell, went into the middle of the street, tried to get a cab, and cabs wouldn't stop. They didn't want no blood in their car. I'm literally dying from losing too much blood. A policeman stops. Meanest policeman, they called a mad dog in the area at the time. And he didn't like the girls, but for some reason he liked me. He picks me up and he puts me in the back of his car. He gets me to the hospital just in time. Don't these girls come to the hospital begging me not to tell my pimp that they did this to me? I mean, so this is the kind of stuff so God was with me. So many bad customers. I had my teeth knocked out and stabbed and raped and God, I knew he was always there because I was still alive. And there were situations where fight or flight, each time I was able well, in the beginning I got hurt, but then I guess I learned from repetition. I wound up, for instance, there was a guy that came, he waited for me to finish at work at night. I guess he was counting the customers I had. He was acting like he was a customer. We get upstairs, and I had to learn. I had my back to him, and I shouldn't have. He pushes me on the bed. He has a knife to my neck. He's sticking his things down my throat, and I'm gagging up this white stuff. He wants to rob me, but he can't find my money. Because we were told to always put our money in our panties, right? He don't find my money in my purse. He doesn't look anywhere. Meanwhile, I always had a slit cut in my purse, and I hid my knife in there all the time, right? He can't find no money. He says, well, okay, such and such. Well, I'm going to rape you, or whatever, however he put it. And so he goes to lift up my dress, and he sees money in my panties. So I'll just take this too. But he still wants to rape me. So he got greedy. He could have just left with the money. So I'm like, I'm trying to think, and this is where God's helping me. I'm like, what do I do in my head? This is because it's all going really fast. And I got I got a little cut here, and I'm like, okay, can you please use a condom? No, I'm pregnant and I don't want to have, any issue. He says, okay. So I'm able to get to the little slit in because he didn't see the knife. It was in and I got to my knife. He had his knife here. I had my knife, and I stabbed him in his hand, and he ran. He left his bag and his wallet and all stuff, but I don't know what to do because I don't ever want to go to Rikers Island again. I was there at 14. I'm not trying to go there again. So I'm thinking, I'm a street girl. They're going to think me, blah, blah, blah. So I jump up on the roof. New York City roofs are very high. And he had to come back and get his ID. So he said I robbed him. So I'm waiting up there for like 3-4 hours, and it's daylight already. And God had my back. That's all. Because I could have been stabbed. I could have been killed. There's so many situation, girls, that he had my back and I'm still here. So that's the
Well,
question.
we're glad you're here. We're glad you're here because that feels like a nightmare that a
Oh,
lot of people don't not get to, but I mean, I feel like nobody wants to see that, but
no.
or witness that. But I feel like in this world, we kind of avoid those topics, right? Like what's happening in the world, like we don't see that. So what you're saying is surprising to me because I've been to New York so many times. And you would never know what's going on there
Yeah.
or everywhere
Yeah.
in the world, right?
Yeah.
So there's something very deep and dark about this. It's like so well hidden from everyone. And like we as humans, we avoid those things a lot with our own lives and our own like complexities and our own like complaining, moments. Like, but we don't really see those, right? And so for you to come out and speak on it and write a book on it,
Mhm.
which we're going to talk about, is so brave, like courageous. Like for you to come out of that situation so many times and find the other side of that light and to spread that message across the world and to young girls too, like and it's still happening, right, Mary? Still happening.
Absolutely. And at the end of my whole thing about this book is that you're going to see so many things in this book. At the end of the day, guys, I wasn't discouraged. So just a quick thing. I've had 22 surgeries. That's a whole nother book, a body dysmorphia. I've had 22 surgeries, and look at my spirit. You know what I mean? And so that's the
Yeah.
bottom line.
Different perspective, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can't beat me. Oh, that's what it
Mhm.
was. I had 22 surgeries. Like everything on me is fake, but my heart is real. You understand that? I've had 3 or 4 marriages. I always wound up marrying bums. Didn't have no money. It wasn't about that. I could have married. There's been guys that are crazy rich. You can't. My body might have been for rent, but I wasn't for sale. If you understand that, you
Yeah.
just couldn't. I couldn't do it. I couldn't. I had to love you, and I just wound up. I didn't know how to love because how could I? Right? I was 14 out there. I never got, and that's another thing. So people ask me, how was I able to deal with all of this stuff? Because I seen worse before I even got out there. My mother committed suicide. I was there. I seen it. So that right there, anything after that couldn't compare. So honestly, that's what it was. And her weakness made me strong. I know it sounds corny, but that's truly how she was so weak and so she was mentally ill and she had all these issues, but how she was I'm sorry, she was a terrible mom. And that's okay. I forget. You know,
That's
I'm
good.
gonna do the opposite. That's all.
I love that.
Yeah.
And for you to have your mom as your as not the example, like the opposite of the example, where did you find the example for you to become that way? Like, was there
Yeah.
any examples for you?
God.
God.
It's all God, I promise you. It's Him. Even as a little girl, I used to go to the little Hispanics families, go to church. I didn't know what was going on, but I felt safe all the time, and I didn't understand it. I just became a Christian at 53 years old. I was out there from 14 until 53. It took
Crazy.
Moses 40 years, right? For 40 years almost. And it took me so until I was 49 until I finally broke. I finally broke down and I had my little, my meltdown or whatever. And I literally, when I told you I was in my house and I had all my shutters down, I kneeled on my knees and I cried out to God. I'm so serious. I cried out to God. And He was there for me. He's the one that helped me. He's the one that told me, get your ass out of that house. Go to the nearest clinic, get some help, because if you don't, you're going to die, and you're going to die from a broken heart. And that's what happened. And from that day forward, and it was a struggle because I didn't know, all I knew was how to take care of myself. And I always had crazy money, and I didn't understand the real world. I wasn't even allowed to talk to another human being. Girl had tried to have a friend or anybody. I was only allowed to talk to customers for 10 years. I didn't talk to anybody, nobody but a customer. So I had a lot of stuff going on, but nobody was there, but it was God with me. He was in that room with me. And He said, go to church with that Japanese lady. He said, do your testimony. And He's been going through me ever since. And that's my part of my story. But it's Him. Sorry.
Yeah.
But that's what
This
Oh
is
happened.
your
yeah, don't take
truth. This is your truth, Mary. Yeah,
don't say
never
sorry.
apologize for speaking your truth. Never.
Yeah.
It's a habit. You're right. It's just a
Yeah.
habit. So yeah, God's amazing. But the second book's gonna be a little more crazier. I think it's gonna be more
So
for
the
the
first
adults.
book, let's talk about
Okay.
the first book because it's out, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the first book is out. Okay.
It came out
So
June
tell us
7th
about that book.
last year, my birthday. It came out. But unfortunately, so I lost my husband in August before that. And so I was in Vegas and I hated it there, but he was my best friend. And after he passed away, I wanted to leave, and so I came here. But all I have so much help in Hawaii. I have so many people that can help me and promote and do this and that. I haven't been able to do it because here I'm stuck in Little Buffalo. Nobody knows me here, and I got to figure out how to get my book promoted. Now, the lady who wrote my book, she's amazing, but it's her first book. Her husband done 14 books. You see? Oh, I got to figure out how to promote it.
Can you give us the name of the can
Yes, it's called Tricked. Just Tricked by Mary
and it's about your journey from
from my mother.
young?
Yeah, from my mother's suicide it's from when I was 13 up to
Okay.
now, up to about a year
Okay.
ago.
So it's your whole journey. So if we want to go find out more, if other women want to go read that book to kind of like see your whole journey, because these are, like you said, there's much more, right? There's much more. Like these are just little snippets that you're sharing. But if they go read the book, they're gonna
Oh,
see more of what really goes on
oh,
in that world. And that's what we want to spread is because this is important and it's an important topic.
Can I
Like,
say something real quick before I forget?
mhm,
I know I'm
sure.
throwing this out there, but watching all this P. Diddy stuff and R. Kelly and all this stuff, that was how I live, sort of, kind of. That was a lot of what they do. Do you understand? So
Really?
every time seeing this, there's triggers. When I see P. Diddy and that's what these pimps do. Do you understand? They groom them from children.
Yeah.
You don't know because you're a child, so they groom these girls, and before they know it, all they know is that situation, or they're afraid. People will always ask, "Well, why don't you leave?" Well, he was 300 pounds and 6'8", and that's all I knew, and I feared him more than
It's
anybody.
like it's a conditioning, like a
Uh-huh.
programming, right? Like they
Exactly.
condition you to.
Did I scare you girls with my
I don't
stories
think that.
today?
No,
No.
I feel like
It
eye-opening, but also, like, and again, like, so my godmother, who I'm very close with, same not same story, but, she was on the streets from the time that she was 14 years old, and she is
Yeah.
now 53, and she's finally just, like, healed, and now, like, showing up, sharing her light and sharing her story and crazy shit, though, like, stuff that you're talking about, Mary, like crazy stories that she's shared with me, and it's just like that it's a whole other life, right? That so many people don't know unless they sit down and they talk to somebody who's lived it, you know?
And who you gonna talk to? You can't talk to anybody because can't trust anybody because they're going to try to. The few times I try to have a friend or try to have whatever, either the friend wound up
Mhm.
robbing me, really like crazy money or jewelry, or they try to screw my man. It just is what it is, right? It's just so I couldn't talk to anybody. I had to keep everything in it, and then I had to. So I finally I have a really great trauma doctor, so my church was sending me all these mission trips, and I met my trauma doctor. He went on a mission trip too. I didn't know he was from Hawaii, but we met in the middle of the Philippines. Here I'm working with some children, and he's doing his trauma class. I'm like, oh, I was done with the children. I'm like, let me go see. This guy knows nothing. What does he know? He's a big old white man, big belly Santa Claus. Just keeping it real. That's what he knows nothing. What does he know about the streets? I went in and I sat there for 3 hours, and I cried and cried, and he knew. He's written like at least 20 books, but I don't know this at the time. And he had no slots to see him. And this is how God works. Literally, when I got back to Hawaii, first I didn't even know he was from Hawaii. I got back to Hawaii. One of his patients had been with him for years. She was moving, so I took her slot. So he wound up being my trauma doctor.
What was like the
Oh
biggest
yeah.
thing that you learned through going through like the therapy, Mary? Like, what was the biggest thing?
Show up and write stuff down. I wouldn't write it down for years and years. And I've had all this hurt and anger and whatever in my heart, but I didn't want to, I guess I didn't want to see it. Right. Because once you see it, you have to acknowledge it and go through it. Right. So I wouldn't write it down, but right now I keep a book and pen. I keep it in my bed. I keep one in the bathroom. I keep one in my car. If I have a thought or a moment, I start writing it down. And that's how I was able to write my book. It took me 14 years to write my book. 14 years. Write it down. Write it down.
Damn.
And then you go back 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, like, oh my God, did I really go through that? OMG, right? Did I really make goals? I would write these goals down and I've accomplished them. So write it down, no matter what walk of life or no matter what you're going through, write it down. Yeah, that's my answer to
This
that.
is your purpose, right? This
Yeah.
is your purpose now. And I think you've taken, like, we don't go through hardships just to lay down and die.
Yeah.
We go through them so that we become stronger and we learn from them. But even though as dark as it is, you can take that darkness and inspire somebody else and help empower other women to stand up to this, this world that we don't see right now, but maybe they're in it. And maybe your message today is, even if it's just domestic abuse,
Right.
even if it's just abusive, like emotionally abusive
Yes.
relationships, it doesn't
Still
matter. It's all
abuse.
the same. It's like
Yes.
you're living that life and nothing's bigger than the other. It's you need to take your power back no matter what, right? It's a shame that you had to go through all the worst stuff, but for somebody who might be going through an abusive relationship at home, they could still take something away from this. Like, oh my gosh, Mary went through all of that, and look at what she's doing with that. And like, even just the simplest things in life, like we take for granted, and we sit here and we say, you know what, I can't do this. It's too scary, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's just stories we tell ourselves. But like, if you can sit there and write a damn book after going through from all those years of torment, torture, emotional abuse, domestic, like physical abuse, all of those, like that's crazy to me
Mhm.
that you can just come out on this. You could have been in a ditch right
Oh,
now,
dead so
but
many times.
God, like you said, God saved you, but also you saved you. You saved you, right? Love
Thank you
that.
so much. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. I think your story is really going to inspire a lot of women out there. Maybe, like to Sherry's point, maybe women out there who haven't exactly lived out or experienced the things that you've experienced, but maybe they've experienced some form of abuse. Maybe they've experienced some form of trauma. And just to know and see that everything that you've gone through, you made it out. And instead of taking it and letting it kind of like take away your spirit, instead you've allowed it to become part of your story, part of your mission, and part of your purpose to help others